Welcome back to another episode of Stacking Dennys. I'm Jordan McAbee of RotoBaller. My co-host Nick Giffen of the Action Network. Josh Berry in victory lane at Las Vegas Motor Speedway after it was an interesting race. It's one of the weirdest races I've seen in a while. And I wasn't home to watch the broadcast, and I was having a little hard time, following what was all going on. But an interesting race, but Josh Berry was good all race. He had one of the best average running positions all race. He was strong all race. Austin Cindric was strong. Kyle Larson probably had the best car. He led the most laps, won stage 2. Byron had a good car. Alex Bowman had a really good car up until he had an issue. We saw Christopher Bell up there late in the race up there, but in the end, we had the podium finishers of Josh Berry, Daniel Suarez, and Ryan Preece, who I was going back on last week's episode of Stacking Dennys, Nick, and you mentioned Preece in that RFK car as when we were talking about our DraftKings drivers on a potential sleeper there. So good call there. But it's worth noting Josh Berry was less than 4% owned in the big GPP on DraftKings. That's how much of a surprise this was. But you know what? Wood Brothers are back in victory lane. Josh Berry is in the playoffs. And what did you think of that race?
It was a pretty good race. I enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't the best Vegas race I've ever seen, but it was a good one. I actually thought Ryan Blaney had the best car. He just obviously had things happen right off the start there. He was ripping through the field, just absolutely flying. Had that pit road issue and cost him a couple laps, got back on a lead lap, kept ripping through the field again. But Larson with the clean air, had the other best car. And then I think Byron was probably the third best car, but good race. Strategy came into play. Tires mattered a little bit. Would still like Vegas to get to the point where tires are just a little bit more. They definitely did matter a lot. Like if you had 4 tires, you could pass guys that didn't take 4, but 2 tires could definitely hold their own, which was good. It was good. But track position was the name of the game out front. Once Kyle Larson got into 3rd, 4th place there, 5th place, he didn't make any moves to the front. So, but some of that was strategy driven as well. But I thought it was a good race. I love seeing a new winner. Josh Berry is a guy I talked about on the Running Hot podcast preseason as a guy I thought had a chance to win this year. And, well, he got his win. I just thought it'd be at a short flat track, not at a mile and a half Vegas. But, hey, he's won at Vegas in the Xfinity Series, which we talked about last week on this podcast as well. So, I mean, I figured it was going to be a really good race, really potentially wide open, because we talked about a ton of cars that could do pretty well at Vegas.
Yeah, it's it makes you wonder when it comes to Josh Berry whether Harrison Burton was that bad, or is the Wood Brothers getting that much more support from Penske? And it could be a combination of both. But fact of the matter is, Josh Berry is tied for second most top 5s this year already. He's 13th in points. He has a win. And I'll tell you what, he finished 11th here at Homestead last season as well. So we could see another good run out of Berry this week. Definitely Penske brought some speed last weekend. Obviously, Cindric led the second most laps. He was up there for most of the day. He ended up with a 6th place finish. Logano obviously starting second. He led 40 laps. Blaney, like you said, had a great car. Those Fords were looking strong, but overall, another good day for Trackhouse. They used strategy once again. Suarez finished second. Chastain had a really good car in practice, had a really good car in the race. He finished 5th. Byron had a really good car all race. And then your boy, who you mentioned last week on the pod, AJ Allmendinger, he ended up with a top 10 finish there, 8th place.
Yep.
So, overall, I thought it was a really good race. All 4 Hendrick cars finished top 10. Also worth noting there.
Bubba had a great car.
Bubba did.
He was top 5 all day, but got caught up in the Blaney deal. So that was unfortunate because, 2 of my bigger bets, one was Blaney at 14-1 after practice and qualifying, and the other was Bubba top 10. And I had Brad Keselowski top 10. He finished 11th. So, feel very good about my bets, but another bagel with the bad luck. I really do feel like at 14-1, I bet on at worst the second best car, probably the best car in my opinion with Blaney. His practice times, and I sent it to you after practice. He was 0.2 faster than the field for 10 laps in the second 10 laps of his practice before he had his practice accident, which was from a tire going down. So that translated to the race. That kid, Ryan Blaney, was fast.
And he's been really good at Homestead. So I'm curious to see. I already have a bet for him to have most fastest laps this week at Homestead, just based on the speed he had last weekend and how good he's been at Homestead. But he was definitely super irritated after that wreck in the race at Vegas and all the issues that they had during the race, because he said they had the best car for sure.
Agree. And he took blame for the wreck. So, nice to see that. That was on him, and he admitted it. He didn't realize he was 2 outside and 1 inside. He thought he was 2 inside and 1 outside, and moved up and created a sandwich situation there on himself. So, but it's nice when NASCAR drivers can admit they made mistakes and things like that. So, Blaney, he finished, what was it, twice or second in 2 of the three next gen Homestead races. And the other time he spun out while he was in second late in the race.
Yeah. So, a lot of tire issues at Vegas, including, Bell, they didn't have a tire. He came and pitted in his teammate's pit stall. Haven't really seen that before. I think NASCAR just made a new rule change where that you can't do that anymore.
You can if it's a safety issue, so he still could have done that. They just wanted to clarify that only for a safety issue. You can't do it just for like adjustments or something.
Oh, okay. So that makes more sense. I just saw the headline. I didn't look into it. But we're talking about all these guys that were fast and stuff. One guy, when do we sound the alarm on Ty Gibbs? Because they were completely lost all weekend. That car was a back marker all weekend at Las Vegas. And I think it's time to start saying what the hell's going on there, because he has regressed majorly to start out this year.
It's got to be setup deals, because the kid can drive. We know that. There's got to be something going on setup wise, chemistry wise, feedback wise. Because we've seen Ty Gibbs run top 5 in races for good chunks of the race. So
and intermediate tracks were where he had all the speed last year.
Exactly. It's shocking. So right now he's unplayable in betting. You can't bet him for a top 10 at his prices. And Chase Briscoe wasn't very good. His practice times were rough, and then he wasn't very good in the race. Denny Hamlin was just in the mid-teens all day until he got track position with under one of those late cautions. He went from 14th to 6th under caution. So it was a strategy play. Once he had a little bit of clean air, he moved from, I think, 6th to like 5th or 4th, but then got, mired back again with the strategy stuff. Bell was good early, but then once he got back in traffic, he struggled to get back forward. Yeah. So all of JGR was surprisingly not so great at Vegas, but their 23-11 teammates were really good. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, Reddick had one of the best cars all day. I forget what happened to where he slipped back late. He ended up with the fastest lap of the race. For those that keep track of that, I haven't seen anyone like really keeping track of who's that. Maybe I'll start doing that. But yeah. And then Hendrick was Hendrick. Byron had one of the best cars. He was strong all day. Bowman, I think, could have challenged for the win. I was happy with my 28-1 bet on him before practice and qualifying.
Absolutely.
And how quick he was all weekend. But yeah, Gibbs is definitely, it's to the point, I think he's definitely still playable in DFS because he's qualifying like shit. Like you had to have some exposure to him starting 29th. But as far as betting, like if you have any head-to-heads with Gibbs in there, I think right now you have to go the other side, no matter who it is.
Yeah. Outside
of Cody Ware or something, but I do think he has a new crew chief this year in Tyler Allen, and I think that could definitely be it probably is one of the main contributing factors here.
I would think so. And you did mention Bowman. I'm pretty sure I had him in 36 for 36, and he got second in the first stage and a top 7 finish. So pretty happy with that. 39 points from Bowman on 36 for 36. I'll take it.
Yeah, I ended up with a 20th place finish out of John Hunter Nemechek, which I'll take. That's decent for me for him in that game, but and you wiped the floor with me in DraftKings. So
I don't even remember that part, but yeah, I had to go. Who did I go at Vegas? Larson and Reddick. I think I just like stuffed those two in.
You went Byron, Reddick, Allmendinger, Bowman, Busher, Bubba.
Busch.
What killed me the most was I had Kyle Busch,
mm-hmm.
and that destroyed me. So
yeah,
because I had Larson Reddick.
Yep.
Let me see here. Anything else from Vegas?
Nah, I mean, classic mile and a half, and now we're at another mile and a half. Very, here. Like you said, then maybe there's a right side or left side tire that might be the same. I haven't looked into that, but I do think you can carry over Vegas more into Homestead than we have been able to in the past, just because they're right next to each other on the calendar, and that's kind of all we have so far this year for intermediate racing.
Yeah, for sure, and I think there's going to be a decent amount of crossover. Plus the fact that the tire wear, with Vegas having some tire fall off, and obviously Homestead is just crazy tire fall off.
Yeah.
So, point standings wise, William Byron has a huge lead, 29 points over Christopher Bell now. Tyler Reddick sitting there in third, and then we got the 3 Hendrick teammates of Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Chris Buescher's up to ninth. There's a noteworthy one. Doing well. Like I said, Josh Berry sitting 13th. Michael McDowell, 14th. John Hunter Nemechek's 15th. And then the guys
McDowell's the first driver, I believe, that does not, Joey Logano. But McDowell, other than Logano, those are the top two drivers that don't have a top 10 yet. Logano's sitting 8th in points, but he's got 50 stage points, right? McDowell only has 8 stage points. So he's kind of just 11th to 15th or so, hang his way into a 14th place in the standings, other than that 27th place finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I honestly expected a little bit more of him out of Vegas. He put it on the pole. I wasn't really expecting that over Logano and Cindric, but McDowell, he's one I have my eye on this weekend for Homestead. Speaking of him, because of his ability to manage tires on high tire wear tracks and Spire's speed on intermediates. He opened earlier this week plus 750 for a top 10. I think you can still get him right now at plus 650. I like McDowell this week.
I like any Chevy that isn't really a Hendrick Chevy. So like RCR has been very good at Homestead. Whether it was Reddick in the RCR car, Kyle Busch didn't have a great race last year, but Kyle Busch is always good here. Austin Dillon has been good here. And then you look at AJ Allmendinger in that Colleague car. Colleague has been pretty good here. So Colleague has that RCR affiliation. So I think any Chevy really, Spire, Colleague, RCR, Trackhouse is obviously going to be decent here especially with Ross Chastain. And then of course Hendrick. So I think this is going to be a good Chevy race.
I agree. And I'm definitely targeting the Spire cars this week. And like you said, Allmendinger. Allmendinger's really good at Homestead. He's never finished worse than 8th here in the next gen era. Even last year, he qualified back in 34th. I think he ended up top 5. Allmendinger's really good here.
Yep.
So definitely someone to keep an eye on this week for Homestead. As far as the rest of the point standings go, Keselowski with his 11th place finish jumped up to 30th in points. Austin Dillon is now 32nd. Noah Gragson is now 33rd. Right back down there by Ty Gibbs, who's 34th. And as far as the full-time drivers, they are just above Cole Custer and Cody Ware. So definitely some huge holes to dig out of for those guys to start out the year. See who else is kind of noteworthy in here. Stenhouse is sitting 16th in points.
Yep. Shout outs to Brad Keselowski for getting his second top 15 of the year.
I don't know what happened. What happened to Buescher at Vegas? He had a strong car and then he faded late. I don't remember exactly what happened. Like I said, I was I didn't have any
just kind of strategy stuff. You know, he finished 13th.
Okay.
He was probably like a back half of the top 10 car late in the race, but got on that wrong strategy with a few of those other guys. And you go from back half of the top 10 to 13th that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah. Anything else you got with the point standings here? Kind of looking through here to see anything else.
No, I don't think there's too much else. Keselowski needs to start making some moves, but I think he'll be pretty good at Homestead this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Christopher Bell with only 27 stage points is fascinating. You know, because he does have the 3 wins, but he's there in the same realm as.
I think he'll add a few more on in the next 3 or 4 races, though.
Yeah, that's true. This is a good stretch of races for him.
You know, because the first 4 or 5 weren't a good stretch of races for him.
Right. Yeah.
No,
at this point, everything's a good.
Daytona and Atlanta are so random. And then Coda, you like get off the stage point thing if you're one of the best cars. So, yeah.
What sticking on stage points? What do you think of Cindric sitting there with 44 stage points already?
Austin
like
Cindric,
I said, he was good at Vegas. I don't think that was a fluke.
Cindric is not the best driver, but he's getting better. And, you know, he's in his 4th full-time season. A lot of times it takes a driver like 3 years to really get acclimated. We saw Cindric, aside from his Daytona 500 win, get that like non-drafting track win last year in a legit win. You know, he was arguably the fastest car or second fastest car at Gateway last year. And he's looked good again this year. So he's starting to put it together. You know, it's a lot of good results at the second half of the year as well. 4th at the Roval, 4th at Martinsville, 10th at Glen. He's always good at drafting tracks, but I'm talking like non-drafting tracks. 7th at Indy, right? So a lot more of those like top 7, top 10 type finishes in some non-drafting tracks than he had in his first couple of years in the series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely someone to keep an eye on. He's been awful at Homestead, but you know, the way he's turning it around, he could end up doing well this weekend. But we're on to talk about Homestead. Actually, we got to do wine about it, don't we?
We sure do.
I don't know if I have anything. I'll let you go first on this one.
I don't think I have anything either. The only wine about it I would have is well, no, that would be IndyCar. I don't know. I don't have any wine about it, so I don't think. Too basketball focused this week.
Yeah, I really don't.
Nothing made me mad. Like
it
was Vegas. It was a nice, orderly, good race and cool winner, and not really any controversies coming from it.
I'm racking my brain right now, and I got nothing right now.
I don't either.
Well, that was Wine About It, presented by Winery. We will be sure to think of some more here coming up. But it's always a good sign when we don't have anything to really whine about. I think it's
we don't have Elton Sawyer coming out of the holler or whatever, giving explanations this week.
Right. Everything's been good.
Yeah.
All right, we're on to Homestead, though. Straight Talk Wireless 400. This was the race last year that I fully believe that showed Brian Blaney's weakness of being clutch, because the line that he took on the last lap to let Reddick by was just absolutely insane to let Reddick win that race. But like you said, Ryan Blaney really good here. Podium finish 3 of the last 5 races. Each of the last 2 years, he's finished second. Reddick won it last year, and then it was Joe Gibbs Racing right behind him with Hamlin, Bell, then Hendrick, Chase Elliott, William Byron, Alex Bowman. We had AJ Allmendinger coming home 8th, Carson Hocevar 9th, and Ryan Preece with a top 10 finish last year in that Stewart Haas car. They didn't look too awful last year. Like I said, Josh Berry was in that 4 car last year. He finished 11th. But Homestead, high tire wear track, 1.5 miles, but shaped really weirdly compared to some of the other conventional 1.5 mile tracks. When it comes to comparable tracks, what are we looking at? Obviously, we just came off of Las Vegas. It's another intermediate track. A lot of people go to Darlington because of the tire fall off. Is Darlington the best comp here for Homestead? Considering we only run Homestead once a year in the next gen era, it's been a late October race every single time. This is now a March race. So different time of year, same track, very unique track.
Mm-hmm.
How are we handicapping this the best?
I mean, technically Darlington's still the best. It's not as big as Homestead, right? But the tire wear, the banking, we classify both in the steep track. The fact that they're both almost true ovals, like Homestead is a true oval, right? 180-degree turns in each end and 2 straightaways. And Darlington's an egg-shaped oval where if the radius was different, if it was the same at each end of the track instead of different, it would be a true oval. So it's similar, but it's not Homestead. Homestead's unique, right? Homestead also has variable banking, which Kansas has. So you can use a little bit of Kansas. Obviously, we can use Vegas. And then the other thing about Darlington is it is run twice a year. So, we're going to be going to Darlington in a couple weeks. So you can use like spring Darlington, I guess, from past years if you want to emphasize one of the 2 Darlingtons, but also the most recent Darlington race was in the fall. So,
right.
Yeah, Homestead's the best comp for Homestead. And funny enough, like I like pulling out all the steep tracks a little bit, just like a little bit for like track type. If you want to pull in a little Dover, even a little Bristol, because driving a steep track with that high banking is a little different than driving a flat track. Flat track, you need braking, you need road course technique, sort of in some ways, depending on how flat it is. But with high banks, you can really rely on the banking to help you turn. So it's a different driving style. So drivers that tend to be good at Homestead are also good at Dover and good at Bristol. And you build that sample size that way just because we only run Homestead once a year. So you have to figure out some way to build sample size.
Yeah. This is also, I think, a good race where we could see some of the mid to lower tier guys come up through the field. The only driver that's scored a top 10 in every single Homestead race in the next gen era is AJ Allmendinger.
Yeah.
3rd, 5th, and 8th. Carson Hocevar last year, top 10 finish in both stages, finished 9th in the race. Josh Berry was right up there last year. Ryan Preece had a top 10 last year. Austin Dillon, like you said, mentioned him earlier, really good, relatively speaking. When we're talking about Austin Dillon and we say really good, he's really good at Richmond and he's really good at Homestead. In his career, he's finished between 4th and 14th in all but 2 races here, and that's over 11 starts. So 9 out of 11 starts, he's finished top 14. That's solid for Austin Dillon, who's, by the way, sitting at plus 650 for a top 10 right now on Bet365.
Yeah.
But as expected, Kyle Larson is the favorite by all sports books. With that speed he showed at Las Vegas as well last weekend, I have a hard time thinking that it's not going to him. He's not going to be the guy to beat heading into Sunday after practice and qualifying tomorrow.
Maybe. I mean, he's not even leading the truck race right now. Obviously,
don't even have
different
it on,
deal.
So.
Not a different deal there, but like he wasn't the dominant truck in the most recent car in the most recent Homestead race. Larson wasn't. So maybe
Reddick had the most fastest laps last year,
and Blaney was leading late until the very, like you said, last turn. Blaney took that. He didn't know if he should go high or he should go low, and he kind of just took this random ass middle line and got too defensive. It was weird. But I don't know. I tailed Stevie for running hot because I said I was going to tail his victory lane pick. So I did. I bet it. I didn't make it like an official pick of mine or anything in the Action app, but I tailed it just because I always trust Stevie. And I do think Larson should be the favorite. I just don't know if he will be. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm not sold that he is going to be the best car. But I do think he should be the favorite. Absolutely.
Yeah, last year he started second, led 1 lap, finished 13th. I don't know if he had to go to the rear. I don't remember the race entirely. I don't remember that. Those kind of stats scream he had to go to the rear or something. Yeah, I could be wrong, but he only had 11 fastest laps too in that race. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm not confident in betting Larson outright right now, especially before practice and qualifying. I will note that I really like how the tire fall off has looked for Hendrick Motorsports this year. So I think if that continues this weekend, Larson's definitely going to be the favorite and should be.
Yep.
I don't like betting him outright right now, but I do like a couple of bets. One, I like Larson most fastest laps.
Oh, truck
happened?
Race. Do you want to know what happened?
Yeah.
Larson just wrecked. He
No
was trying
way.
to get underneath Riggs, slid up into him, and just spun out. Hit him and spun out.
That's ironic.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, here come the Larson and talent tweets, as always when he wrecks. But I like Larson most fastest laps plus 400 on this. But what I really like, probably my favorite bet outside of a couple top 10 bets right now, Tyler Reddick fastest overall lap plus 1200.
You just got it at Vegas too. Yeah.
Yep. And he was plus 1600 last week at Vegas for that.
You want to know what bet I was really digging into this week? Miles per hour of fastest lap.
We need to talk about, okay, for those that did not see Nick's tweet last week about miles per hour of fastest lap last week at Vegas. You need to go into that. Give me the Cliff Notes version of why you bet it, because oh my God,
easiest bet
nerdiest thing.
No, second easiest bet of everyone. Besides mile per hour fastest lap at Coda, because they used the wrong track layout.
Right.
Yeah, it was the nerdiest analysis ever. And look, obviously being a Vegas guy and knowing the weather there and just knowing how things are, and having gone to that last Vegas race in the spring last year, I remember how windy it was. And so I don't know why I dug into it, but I dug in. I was like, I hit miles per hour fastest lap at Coda. Let me look into this. And I'm a scientist. Like, yes, I'm a mathematician, but I'm a scientist. I got my minor in physics. I did a lot of aerodynamics stuff and partial differential equations of fluid dynamic systems and things like that. So like, I know my science, and that includes the weather, right? Air is a fluid. So aerodynamics is fluid flow, which is exactly what I studied in grad school. So I knew how these things would affect the speed of the cars. You add in the pressure, you add in the sunshine, the cloud cover, just the fact that and I was looking at this, I'm like, wait a minute, the sunset was an hour, or sunrise or whatever was an hour different, because last year it was before the clock switch. This year it's after, so there's one less, but they're starting still at 10:30 or whatever, or 12:30, I should say, Vegas time. 12:45 Vegas time, both times. So that means there's one less hour of sunlight to bake the track, and it was gonna be more cloudy, higher pressure. It was just all this nerdy shit. I was like, there's absolutely no way these cars won't be faster. Plus, they've been getting faster every year at Vegas, just because you've been able to optimize the next gen car. And yeah, Vegas gets more and more fall off every year, but we're not talking about late in the run speed. We're talking about first lap speed. That's all we care about. And first lap speed isn't affected by fall off. It's just how fast can you go on that first lap. And I knew there was going to be more grip this year from all those different factors that all just played together perfect. And fastest lap was, the miles per hour of fastest lap bet was 183.0. We almost hit 185. And I figured it would be high 183s, low 184s, maybe pushing mid 184s. I wasn't expecting almost a 185 lap, but that tells you how good the conditions were.
Yeah. Yeah. When you sent it, I was just like, I read it and I'm like, it's the nerdiest thing ever. I love it. Bet.
Yep.
So yeah, that was
fun.
And
I looked into it really hard for Homestead. I promise you. I think 166 is a fair line. I think it's dead on. You? Yeah. I think it's dead on.
So you don't have a lean on that one, huh?
I don't.
Damn.
I think it's dead on.
Any bets that you're looking at otherwise?
The only other one, I've only made one official bet. I just tracked it about, an hour ago, 2 hours ago maybe, is Keselowski over Josh Berry at plus 105 at DraftKings. You can get, I think it was even money at BetMGM as well. But Look, Josh Berry's good here at Homestead. He, like you mentioned, he had a strong finish here last year. But Brad Keselowski's also really good at these high tire wear, fall off tracks, and I fancy him, with more experience and all that to just have a better race than Josh Berry, maybe more speed. It doesn't mean he's going to beat Josh Berry. I just think I like Keselowski a little bit more than Josh Berry in terms of like who I would favor to have a better finish.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he just won Darlington, right? Like if we're talking about comp tracks, he just won Darlington. Yes, Josh Berry just won Vegas. So I think that a lot of the bias is Josh Berry winning Vegas, right?
Yes.
Influencing that line. But Keselowski is still really good at Homestead. He's still really good at high tire wear tracks.
Yeah, if Berry didn't win Vegas, if he came home third last week, we really wouldn't be talking about him that much. Nobody really would. It's just the fact that he won. So definitely, yeah, I don't mind that bet at all. Like you said, the RFK cars are good at high tire wear tracks. We've seen Buescher do really good here before as well. So something to keep an eye on there. Obviously, I always think the Fords have very good control over tire fall off. They just don't have the shorter run speed,
and they have good fuel mileage, man. In case,
the fuel mileage, yeah.
So, they're both in Fords, so that's a good thing for both Josh Berry and Keselowski.
Right. Who else you got your eye on this week outside of like the Blaney's, the Byrons, the Larsons, and the Reddicks?
I mean, like I talked about, all those Chevys, I think they're going to be good here. I think they're all going to be really good here. If you're doing comp tracks and you look at Eric Jones at Darlington, he's good at Darlington. He's not good at Homestead. There are differences, right? So that's something we need to point out is some drivers are good at one or the other and not at both. And it's really interesting just kind of how that works out. But Ross, I think Ross is gonna be really good. He was leading the truck race a little bit ago. I got distracted by the Larson wreck. I think Ross was leading when the Larson wreck happened, and I think some pit stops just happened, and he's now come out in the second row. But Ross is going to be good here. I think you always got to keep an eye on Ross at these steeply banked and these high tire wear tracks. These driver tracks.
Mm-hmm. One guy who was really good here last season, led 81 laps, top 3 in both stages, ended up finishing 5th, Chase Elliott. Obviously you like the Chevys. He's overall been really good at Homestead. He's been really consistent. He's never finished worse than 15th ever in his career here.
Yeah.
But he also only has 3 top 5s. So not like out of this world good here, but last year he definitely kind of broke through, I'd say, at Homestead. Like I said, led 81 laps. I'm curious to see how he does. Like I said, I like the Hendrick cars seem to have a ton of speed. I mean, they always do, but I feel like early on in this season, they're really strong here. They're really strong to start this season. Another guy to keep an eye on, obviously, is Chase Briscoe, who won at Darlington last fall. He's in that 19 car for Truex. I still think I'm still sticking with that they're going through growing pains, that they're going through just getting acclimated to each other. Like, he has not shown decent speed, I don't think, all year outside of Coda when he was coming up through the field. Yep. So it's another one of those with him. I'm not taking a stance on him until after practice and qualifying. But as far as his track record here at Homestead, Briscoe never finished better than 12th. 3 finishes between 12th and 18th. Obviously, those were in Stuart Haas cars, so not the best at intermediates, but yeah, that's constantly going to be someone that I'm going to keep an eye on.
He's also he might be the Eric Jones, right, where you're good at Darlington but less good at Homestead kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Denny Hamlin,
yeah,
verdict's out on him this year, and he's 44. He's not getting younger. We saw the only driver that's been really good at age 44 in the past decade or so has been Kevin Harvick. That's it. That's a one driver sample size. I shouldn't say sample size, like other drivers have raced at 44. I'm talking about being good at 44. Denny Hamlin's just been kind of mediocre this year. He finished second at Phoenix, but a lot of that was just kind of biding his time, moving his way forward. He was not the fastest car. He had a really good car in the reds, but he was not great on the yellow tires at Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
He was fine. Like he was like back half of top 10 kind of deal, but just kind of didn't make mistakes, which is, years ago, 3, 4, 5, more like 4, 5, 6 years ago, you used to rag on Denny for making a lot of mistakes. He's not made as many mistakes. He's gotten so much better at not making mistakes, which is part of the good thing about becoming 44.
He did just speed at Vegas.
That's true. But, that's going to happen to every driver. But those speeding penalties have so far reduced. But even just the on-track mistakes or the other kind of bonehead mistakes he might make have significantly reduced. But I think his speed is also reduced. Like his pure speed, his ability to just take the lead and just grab it. And I'm not saying he's bad. He's still one of the best drivers in the Cup Series. But I question whether he is, a top 5 driver in the series anymore. Maybe more like an 8th, 7th, 6th driver. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep. I completely agree.
And Homestead should be a really good track for him. But after seeing Vegas, where he was just kind of meh, and after seeing JGR, it was just kind of meh.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to jump in on Hamlin or Bell or anything like that, where this should be a good track for both of them.
Yeah. Speaking of Christopher Bell, he opened up at 11-1, and I wasn't going to argue with anybody that wanted to bet that.
No,
I think you can still, with that. But I didn't jump on it. Despite the fact that I really like Christopher Bell this week, I really like Christopher Bell this season, I'm not jumping at 11-1.
I will say I did argue with people on Denny Hamlin at 13-1.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. In the Action Discord, I pushed back on 13-1 on Hamlin. I won't argue with Bell 11-1, but I will argue with Hamlin 13-1. I hope I'm wrong, right? Like I hope I'm wrong. If you like Denny Hamlin 13-1, I want you to be right. But I'm just not there with Hamlin right now. He's aging. He's, like you were saying, and I was saying, I kind of just feel like he's like a 5 to 8 driver right now.
Yeah. Going back to Hamlin, so Homestead's an interesting track because if you remember, it always used to be the last race of the season. Now it's, earlier in the season. And obviously, driver talent and tire management comes into play a lot here, as does pit stops are going to be super important as well, because every chance they get to get tires, they're going to come in and get tires. Pit crews need to be on it. This opens up the door. Yes, Kyle Larson should be the favorite, but like I said, I don't like betting him outright because it opens up the door for any small thing to happen, and it's not necessarily going to be the fastest car in victory lane. So, trivia question for you: out of the current drivers, active drivers, including Jimmy Johnson, how many drivers have won more than once at Homestead?
Wow. Larson's only won once. I know that for a fact.
Yep, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
And remember all those years where this always used to be Truex's track. Truex used to be, this was where he was going to excel.
Joey won in 2018, of course, because he was champion. He might be, I don't know if he's won a second time, but he might be the one. It's either 1 or 0. Maybe Kyle Busch has won twice because I know he won in 2015. I was there. When was Kyle's second championship? Was that it? Yeah, that was at Homestead, wasn't it? Maybe Kyle Busch and Joey, maybe just one or the other.
So
I'm going to say one.
Two of them. There's 2 of them. One of them has 3 wins, and the other one is Kyle Busch with 2 wins. Joey Logano only has 1 win.
So it's got to be Keselowski?
Nope.
Damn, I don't know. Who the hell is it?
Denny Hamlin. 3-time winner here.
Oh. For some reason, I don't know why I dismissed him. But yeah.
Yeah. But it's, going back to my point, we get a lot of different winners here. And that's why it's like, I think this is the first week where I have not really liked any outright, where one's really jumped out at me that I bet. Last week it was Bowman at 28-1. And obviously I don't like betting outrights anyway. but there's nothing like I'm not interested in it. I'm more interested in the top 10 lines this week.
I'll tell you what, I haven't made a single outright bet on Cup or on IndyCar this week.
That is crazy. Your boy Kyle Kirkwood, as I was talking to you earlier, second fastest practice today.
Yeah, he was fastest in the. So actually, I really like how IndyCar does practice on road courses. They have an all-car session for 30, 45 minutes, something like that. So anybody can go out anytime they want in those 30, 45 minutes. And then they break it into two groups and do like 15 or 20 minutes for two groups. That gets you a chance to have cleaner, air and things like that, which in IndyCar matters even more than NASCAR, like way more. It's absolutely crazy how much, getting a good lap matters in IndyCar by having clean air. And I love the way they do practice on road courses and street courses. I think that's a fantastic way to do it. But Kyle was fastest in the all-car session, and then the two separate groups, he was fastest. I should say second fastest in this when you split the two groups, and that second group was the fastest group. Both Palou and Kirkwood were in the second group. Andretti was 2-3-4, and Andretti tested at Thermal, which is the track they're at this weekend. I didn't bet anything though because Andretti does tend to struggle with tire wear as a team, and Thermal is the homestead of road courses in IndyCar in terms of tire wear. So it's nice to see the raw speed. I just don't know how they're going to be on a long run, right? And there's no way to know because you don't do long runs in IndyCar practice.
Right.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I haven't made an outright bet in Cup. I haven't made an outright bet in IndyCar. That's official, other than the one that I tailed Stevie on for Victory Lane for running hot, because all I did this week for running hot was play host. I did no analysis.
So you've been pretty busy for basketball here this week.
Yeah. But it's slowing down. Took the evening off from basketball because it's honestly not been going well at all. Easily the worst stretch of basketball I've ever had, but that's how things go, right? I mean, I hit almost 100 units last year in basketball, including like 70 in the tournament. And this year I can't win a damn bet. It feels like.
Good old betting downturns.
Yep.
They always happen, but
gotta ride them out.
But you got anything for Homestead before we get to our picks and everything?
No, I don't think I do. I mean, we haven't really talked about him. We talked about Spire as a whole, but Carson Hocevar, this is going to be an interesting one.
Hocevar was ninth. I honestly, he's probably going to be my 36 for 36 this week.
I can see that too. Mm-hmm. I haven't even thought about who my 36 for 36 is going to be, so we'll kind of do it on the fly here.
Yeah, I literally, it was right before we jumped on here. I'm like, who's my 36 for 36 going to be? I'm like, Hocevar looked pretty good last year. Where else do I like him? I'll see what he does here. But could we see a Carson Hocevar in Victory Lane and get back-to-back first-time winners? I think that's something to consider.
Yeah, definitely not out of the realm of possibility.
Mm-hmm. That would be a wild start to this season if we get 6 races in and Christopher Bell has won 3 of them. Byron has won 1, and then our other 2 winners are Josh Berry and Carson Hocevar. What in the world? That would be.
I'll tell you what. Another driver who's good. Noah Gragson is good here, but Noah Gregson's also good at Vegas. He finished 26th, or sorry, 31st. Yeah. He had an issue, got caught in a wreck or something. I don't remember. And then he's usually good at the shorter, flatter tracks, but only finished 26th. He's usually not good at the road courses and finished 8th at COTA.
I will note that front row, even last year weren't great at intermediates, especially Todd Gilliland.
Yeah.
So I think that could be playing into Gregson's struggles as well.
Absolutely.
But all right, we'll get to our picks here. Yeah. So last week I had Larson as my pick to win. Obviously, I've been jinxing the hell out of everybody because I had SVG at COTA. I had Larson at Vegas, and they couldn't even pull off a top 5. I have yet to pick a top 5 for my pick to win yet. Meanwhile, you have only one race where they finish worse than 6th. So pick to win, aka Jordan's jinx of the week. I am going to go. I just have this weird gut feeling that Ryan Blaney gets this monkey off his back, gets this bad luck off his back, and finally gets a win at Homestead. Adds his name to the list of single-time winners at Homestead.
Yeah.
Give me Ryan Blaney this week.
Who did I take last week?
You had Byron last week. You finished 4th.
We'll take William Byron.
I like it. Neither of us going Larson, neither going Reddick. But speaking of, we did get a comment here earlier. Byron 14-1 most fastest laps. I honestly don't like it. He's been kind of mid-pack in fastest laps on intermediates, including the high tire wear. Last year at Homestead, he had 5. Year before, he had 19. Year before, he had 17. Darlington, he's been mid-pack in fastest laps. As much as I do like values like that at like 14-1 and stuff, I'd much rather have, I think Reddick's at plus 800 this week. I'd much rather have like a Reddick there. But like I said before, I really like Reddick fastest single lap at plus 1200. That's one of my favorite bets of the week.
Yeah, I'm not on Byron most fastest laps. I think somebody asked about it for Vegas too a week ago, not on the show, but in I think in the Action Discord, and I just kind of poo-pooed that one as well. So Byron's not really a fastest lap guy. He's just like super consistent, which isn't a bad thing either. But he can have the most fastest laps from time to time, and especially in some of these intermediate races. He might be able to if he's really the best car, but it takes something special to beat Larson and Reddick for fastest laps at a lot of these tracks.
Yeah, for sure.
Bell, back in the day, it could be a couple other drivers as well, like Hamlin.
I was going to say 2023, it was Hamlin with the most fastest laps. Last year, it was Reddick, and then the year before, it was Larson.
Exactly.
So those are the 3 guys in the, next gen era that have the most fastest laps. 36 for 36. Like I said, I'm going Hocevar.
That's a good call. That's a good call.
I like the Spire speed this year. I like what Hocevar did here last year. And like I said, second year, or like his second full-time year or season, you don't really know exactly where to use someone like that. So I thought about going Larson. I thought about going, maybe a Reddick here, but I'm saving those guys. I'm going to go Hocevar.
Yeah, this one's tough. Yeah, this one's tough. I don't know. I don't know who I should be using here. I don't have a good pick here unless I also go Hocevar. I think that is certainly a very plausible pick. We do run Darlington twice, which is a chance to use Hocevar as well. I don't know. Give me Kyle Larson.
You're going Oh, I like it.
Give me Kyle Larson.
Coming off that 39-point performance from Bowman, which is obviously solid out of a guy like him, there's a chance you could go full max points here with Larson. It wouldn't surprise me to see him take both stages and the race win. So
this truck race is good.
Is it?
Yeah.
I should have turned it on, but
just got it over here on my other monitor. But yeah.
How many laps are left?
12 to go. They were just 3 wide for the lead.
We're probably gonna wrap this up like right as that thing ends.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like Larson went from P22 to P6. So it ain't over
Yeah,
yet.
after he wrecked or whatever. Yep.
Dang. Oh. All right. Let me get this on here quick.
You should have no problem dispatching of Daniel Hemrick. Yeah, he just blew the doors off Hemrick.
All right. Way too early DraftKings picks here.
It's going to be a tough one.
You know, I feel like we have some decent analysis here early week without having like starting positions and stuff.
Yeah.
As always, I like to look down near the bottom, like kind of build from the bottom up early in the week. I think Austin Dillon at 6,300 is an incredible value, or will end up being an incredible value. Assuming he doesn't qualify super high, which obviously don't really know. Allmendinger, I think, tends to not qualify well here, tends to race well here. So give me Allmendinger. So it leaves me 91.75 for the last 4 guys. This is where it gets tough though, because there's not a lot of there's good value here, but there's not a lot of great value in this range.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I think Larson's going to get the most fastest laps. I'm going to throw him on there with those 2. Dude, this week's tough. Pricing's tough this week. Pricing is tough. You know what? I'm going to go. Oh, man, this is tough. I'm going to stick with my gut here, and I'm going to go Chase Elliott as another really good race here. I'm going to roll with Hocevar, and then man.
See, I think Hocevar is going to qualify like 5th or something.
I know. That's why I don't go Hocevar. Oh, this is tough. As you can tell, I put a lot of thought into this. Man.
Yeah, this is tough this week.
Wonder how much cap I got left if I go with like a Zane Smith. 10-4. Man.
This is ridiculous.
This is stupid. Fuck it. I'm gonna go Herbst again.
Oh my goodness.
and I want to get Reddick. So I'm gonna go Larson, Reddick, Chase Elliott, Allmendinger, Austin Dillon, Riley Herbst.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
I can't say I'm confident with this at all. But I mean, obviously it's early in the week, but man. I'm writing these down. I the last couple of weeks I haven't been writing them down. I need to actually put them in the contest, don't I? I'll do that. All
right. Give me Tyler Reddick. Since you're going Larson, I'll go Reddick.
Well, I went both.
Oh, you went both. Oops. Give me Ryan Blaney.
What's going on in the truck race?
4 to go. Larson's up to second.
Heim's truck shuts off again?
I don't know. I don't have the sound on.
Oh. Larson's up to set. Larson's going to win this damn thing, ain't he?
He might. Man on a mission.
Huh. All right, Blaney.
Blaney, yeah.
I feel like Blaney
he's
could
going to win the race.
Solid value.
If he's going to win the race, I got to have him in the lineup.
Yeah.
I don't think he puts it on pole either. Maybe he does. I don't know. Give me Ross Chastain.
I like that.
I like that a lot. Again, mid-teens qualifier type guy who could finish top 5. Give me Kyle Busch.
It's so interesting how we know these guys. We can kind of just in our heads be like, yeah, Chastain's probably going to qualify mid-pack and end up.
Yeah.
These you 57.50 average for the last 2.
Give me Austin Dillon and Ty Dillon.
Oh boy.
Ty Dillon.
I like it.
For being Ty Dillon, this is a good track for him.
I like
it. Doesn't say a lot, but you know, for a $5,200 driver, he finished 24th the last time he raced here in Cup. Previous to that, it was 26th, 28th, 24th, 22nd, 26th, and 23rd and 33rd with a DNF. He's just going to finish in that as mid-20s. Maybe he'll get 22nd or maybe he'll get 28th kind of deal.
Right. But he's going to be there and he's going to not wreck it.
And he let me fit Austin Dillon and 4 good drivers.
Yeah. I like it. I like both of our builds. I think they're both pretty solid.
I hate this week as far as builds.
It is. This pricing. Is tough. Without qualifying or anything. This is going to be a tough week.
So yeah, I guess I have the full. No, not the full. I was gonna say the full Kaulig RCR stack, but I have 3 of the 4.
Yeah. All right, you got anything else for Homestead?
I sure don't. Kyle Larson, Truck Series winner.
Hell yeah. Spins it out and comes back to win. I know there's probably a lot of people that are betting the triple for him because he's doing all 3.
Yeah.
Huh. Cool. All right. Well, quick episode this week. We should, I assume, are we going to be back to regular schedule next week, Wednesday?
I should be able to on Wednesday. Yeah, I should be able to. I have my show at 3:30. No, 4:30. No. 5:30 Eastern, and we record at 4:30 Eastern. So we may have to move it up a little early or move it after the show, one or the other.
All right. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Other than that, I should be able to have the show, no problem.
Awesome.
Just got to move it either earlier or later.
Cool. Yeah, we'll let you guys know. But good luck this week to everybody at Homestead, and we'll be back next week to talk about. I really should memorize the schedule, shouldn't I? Homestead and then Martinsville. Yep. All right. See you guys. Good luck this weekend.